Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, is that my friend Michelle?
In the flesh.
Oh,
In the flesh.
oh, look who just joined. Callie coming back from Cali. What's up? I don't know, I don't even understand what all those emojis mean, but I'm pretty sure she'll type it in the chat just a minute.
Mind
Who
blown.
else we got on?
The Hoot Wine. I
Hey!
love the name. I love the name. H-Town, stay down.
Exactly. That dude got wine recommendations for days.
Oh, I need to follow him then.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. He's quite the character. Aren't you, hood wine connoisseur?
Look,
Hey, Nicole, the life coach. How's it going?
all I know is this black girl skin is glowing. That's
Are you talking about yours or are you talking about mine? 'Cause
both.
I hope you giving me my just due,
I'm talking
Gomez.
about both. I'm talking about both.
Okay. All right. As long as we're clear.
Oh man.
Nicole, the life coach. She know what it, hood wine connoisseur is also from the YP.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we got to give a little bit of honorable mention to the YP here.
Yeah, where it all began. It was all a dream.
I know. I met you through YP. I gotta send them a thank you card and some like whiskey or something. Talent.
So, which president are you going to send it to, though?
Don't ask me these questions at 7 o'clock at night. That's all. It's a little too late. The day's a little bit too long. And while we're waiting on people to roll in, Gomez, how was your day?
It was a good day. I did this web accessibility training. So I was learning. I have day 2 tomorrow. It was really good. Trying to broaden my diversity and inclusion concepts. Because as much as I love being a Black woman, everything ain't about being a Black woman or a Black person. When it comes to D&I.
Ah, there we go. Okay. I see your point. All right, Mr. LiveFit and Alicia Reese, is that right? Hello, hello, hello. So you want to get started, Gomez? Roll us in?
Yeah, well, welcome everyone. We appreciate you being here for this conversation, Black Women at Work. Hopefully this is part 1. Hopefully we're creating a series out of this. I think the topic is self-explanatory. So I am so glad to be doing this with my good friend and intellect. I think when I say intellect, everything else, all the other titles just fall under that, right? Because there's no greater compliment than the compliment going to the mind of a person, right? So welcome, Coach Natasha Wade. Sister Soul Coach.
Right. Well, hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am Natasha Wade, your Black Women Soul Coach. And what I do is I help Black women achieve their deepest soul desires in life, love, work, and play. I tackle about 7 different aspects of life and wellness, including play, purpose, work, relationships, which are big. That could be like another topic of ours. And yeah, I'm just here to make your life better. And I do it mostly through coaching sessions, very personalized, customized coaching sessions as part of my Euphoria 90 coaching program. And I also have a new ebook out, The Black Girl's Guide to Discovering Her Divine Calling. Woo, I'm an official author. Bitch.
Thank
Bye,
you,
girl.
Michelle. Catch the replay. Catch the replay.
Catch the replay. Michelle, do you want to introduce everyone? Even though you really need no introduction because you're pretty much like the GOAT of networking in Houston, at least.
Listen, I am here to learn and to receive. My name is Michelle Gomez, Inclusive Marketing Strategist. So I help organizations create diversity and inclusive marketing strategies. I like to say D&I from a marketing perspective. And so once again, welcome to our conversation today. And yeah, so do we just dive right in with the questions or?
Hit me. What's the first one?
Well, today we're going to talk about Black women at work, from pay, promotions, performance, and peace of mind. And most people wait until the end, but we're just going to dive right in when it comes to the money. Okay? The money, honey.
Show me the money!
So I actually want to start off let's just say a 35-year-old woman, 35 to 40 years old, Black woman, probably mid-level career. What kind of livable salary should she, and I know it's going to vary among industries and location, but what's a good salary for a 35 to 40-year-old woman? I don't care if she's single or married, kids or no kids. What's a livable wage in today's times? Degreed, at least one degree, at least 10 years work experience.
I mean, I hate to actually put a number on it. If I had to put a number on it, obviously you're probably looking at least 40,000, but it also depends on region. It depends on a lot of things. What sort of research have you seen, Michelle?
I still feel like that's low.
Well, we said livable, so that's what I'm saying. And when you think about the fact that there's women that are, if you're talking about what, single women?
It shouldn't matter. To me, it shouldn't matter, right? And I do feel like there's some bias when it comes to single versus kids. I think we've seen that in the age of COVID. It's a whole nother conversation. But I think just a 35-year-old woman has a degree and 10 years of experience.
Yeah, I think if we're just talking about a 35-year-old woman without kids, whatever, like I said, I would say most people that I know of are making somewhere at least around the 35 to 40,000 range. And it is low. Like at the end of the day, it depends on where you're living and all those things. What I can tell you is all Black women compared to white men, Black women are basically getting paid 62 cents on the dollar, right? Compared to white men. So that means that we're losing, according to the research, and the research that I had, Alorinka Communications. So I'm pulling a lot of my research from leanin.org, which is an amazing website to look at for resources and things like that. But on average, the Black woman is losing about $1 million over the course of her career. Imagine what we could be doing with $1 million fucking dollars, Gomez.
That's part of the generational wealth, right? That's part of saving, investing, home buying. Hey, everyone tuning in, thanks for jumping on. Yeah, I mean, that's the beginning stages of us creating generational wealth and legacy, giving back to our schools, HBCUs, or just other community organizations.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that they brought up as well. They said 81% of Black mothers, I want you guys to hone in on this when I say this, 81% of Black mothers are breadwinners for their families, compared to 50% of white women. So to your point, we're losing out on things like income for rent, for school supplies, education, and property. $1 million over our career, and 80-something% of us are breadwinners. You do the math. Well, mothers. And then think about how much it costs to actually raise a kid. Social England, is it Social England? Social England? I don't know. But either way, social, you know, SoCal, I forgot. SoCal, you know exactly how much it is to raise a kid in 2021.
Look, that's why I don't have any, okay?
That's right. Damn right, Gomez. That is exactly why we're friends.
I can barely take care of myself.
Listen.
Let alone a little one.
But kids are expensive, exactly. You know, like I need to be able, if we have a recession because I'm losing out on my $1 million over the course of my career, I need to be able to flex down ramen noodles every day. Can't do that with no kids.
Listen, I just told my friend earlier today, I need to go to the dentist, and next month I'm going to be living off of beans and rice, okay? Because I can't do any made luxuries because I got to get some dental work done. And I have insurance. But that, once again, that's a whole nother live.
Exactly. Exactly.
So listen, whether you're making $35,000 or $95,000, people want more money. So can you give us maybe 2 or 3 tips on how to negotiate a salary?
Absolutely. One thing that I would say, and this is really important, that we don't stress enough about, but first of all, make sure that your work product is on point. Because the one thing that you can always go to, regardless of the subjective things that they place on it, or, you know, whether it's color or whether it's gender or whatever, at the end of the day, it comes down to the work. And so that's why it behooves all of us to have these proactive conversations with our leaders about, one, what's important to the company, like what really is like the top biggest, because every company is going to have a focus, right? You know, if you're in healthcare, there may be an initiative that they're working on. If you're in IT, there may be some sort of product that they're rolling out. But either way, the company has like maybe 2 or 3 objectives. The frustrating thing about our work product being on point is that only applies to us. Let's actually talk about that in a minute. But either way, we don't get that leeway, right? Like I'm sorry, unfortunately, if you're going to be in corporate, or if you're going to work for a company, we don't have the leeway and we don't have the grace to have subpar, average ass work. White men can do it all the time. White women can do it all the time. We're not allowed to do that. And that's something that we have to continue to educate corporate America on. But until we get there, unfortunately, if you want this money, your shit got to be on point. And like I said, what that means is making sure that your shit is relevant, making sure that you're not really just creating goals just for you, but make sure that it's important to the company, make sure that it's lining up with their metrics, make sure it's lining up with their objectives for the department. So that's why it's really important to proactively set up these conversations, because I think I come across a lot of Black women, or a lot of people in general, that'll say, well, my manager hasn't had that conversation with me. I'll ask them, like, have you had a meaningful conversation about your performance with your manager, or the goals that you have set, you know, that you guys have set for the year, kind of where you want to go with your career, how you want to develop. And often the response is, we haven't gotten that deep. Either we haven't had the conversation or we haven't gotten that deep. And those are critical conversations. So that's number one. Number two, obviously ask, and, you know, and practice asking, right? And when you practice asking, making sure that you're not saying, oh, well, you know, can I have, you know, this amount? Making sure that you have the research, going out there, looking it up on Glassdoor, looking it up on paychecks.com or salary.com or Indeed, and looking at what the market is providing, right? And then, you know, obviously checking in with a couple more resources, but making sure that you have the data. So when you go to them, you can say, okay, you know, right now I'm earning about, you know, this much. When I look out in the market, somebody with my similar title or position in this market is making between 75 and 80,000. Hey, Kurt the Connector. Somebody is making between $75,000 and $80,000 in my industry, right? But not only that, not only did I launch this particular project that earned the department over so much odd in revenue. Not only did I bring in, 35% more customers, not only did I create a whole new program or a whole new system to, to actually increase our efficiency in doing this or that, right? So I have that I've added to the company, and this is what the market rate is. And so this is what I'm asking for. I'm asking for $77,000 per year, and land on that. Not I think, not I believe, not I want, not please, not oh my gosh, please, massa, can I get my money? Like, land on that shit and believe in it, because half of it is confidence, and I think a lot of us struggle with the confidence piece. And I think the last thing is have a mentor. A mentor is actually also part of your money strategy. Because if you have a mentor that is looking out for your best interest, then you're not just relying on the data. You can go to your mentor and say, listen, this is the level of experience that I bring to the table. What do you believe that I should be earning, for my level of skill and ability and all those things? But not only that, you can actually practice with your mentor. I really like to go to my boss. I really like to go to my leader and ask for it, or negotiate a raise, whatever, a merit increase. How do you suggest that I go about it? You know what I'm saying? And actually role play. So that would be my 3 tips.
So we want to thank everyone for jumping online with us, talking about Black women at work, pay, promotion, performance, and peace of mind. I agree with everything that you said, and you've definitely coached me in the past. And what works for me is keeping track of everything you do at the present time. Right? Don't wait until the end of the year. Don't wait until your evaluation to try to think about everything you do. Open up a Google Doc. This is a good time. We're only 4 months in the year. Open up a Google Doc and okay, what have I done in the past 3 months or 4 months? What have I done since my last evaluation? So that way, when November, December comes around, you're like, okay, you're just putting the final touches of your presentation. All right, boom.
Absolutely.
Because it is hard to keep track of everything. And sometimes we feel like, well, I'm not doing anything, or I'm just working, but you are. So measure your performance along the way.
Measure performance, and also keep those little emails. Like those emails, unless it has anything that's like goes against, your company's privacy policy or sharing policy. If you get those kudos emails, I send those to my personal email, or I save them up somewhere, or I document them somewhere so that I could honestly say, okay, well, this, I actually received this particular comment or this particular compliment for my work, and that third-party verification, it sort of works like a professional Yelp. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are your brand, you are a company in a sense. And so when people have good kudos and reviews to say about you and your work, you want to save that information, because that's all that at the end of the day, that's still serving as proof and evidence that you're an asset to the organization. Like I have people, listen, it's not, I don't do this just for my ego. Like there are people within my organization that are singing my praises, and that shit is on purpose.
Right. Okay. So we're talking about money. We definitely want the money, right? We always want more money to see. So Isom says, must have a file on yourself and your value added throughout the year. Crucial.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we want the money, right? We always want the money. Sometimes we don't want the responsibility, right? But the responsibility comes with more money, right? So how do we find the balance when it's like, okay, do I just need the raise, or do I need the promotion in order for me to get more money? What's your advice on that?
I think this is a tricky one, because for me, I always look at promotions as, it really depends on your values, right? Because some people are going to be very much more money motivated when it comes to rising up in the organization. Some people are going to be very passion centered, right? I'm very much a passion person. I'm not going to go after a promotion or any type of opportunity unless I know that it flows in with the overall work and purpose that I'm fulfilling for myself. That said, I think if you do have a plan for yourself, first of all, I encourage everyone, and I mean everyone on this live stream or anybody who's listening to the recording, to think about your perfect life. Think about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you retire, whatever your retirement age is, how much money do you need to actually live your most glorious life? You know what I'm saying? Passion centered. I like that terminology. I know you would like that, you freaking hippie.
The intellect.
Right. But really think about kind of like what it's going to take to make you happy and what it's going to take to really live your best life when you retire. Some people want to retire at 50, some people want to retire at 60. Now, that being said, I think that's why it's important for you to budget that. Because to your point, you know, you may decide that you have all the passion in the world being a social worker. But if a social worker is earning, you know, let's just say they're earning $60,000 per year, and you got this, like, you want to go out, you know, on private jets every weekend to Maui when you're 50, I mean, and you're 35 now, baby, that means that you either got to get promoted or you have to start thinking about multiple streams of income, which I'm encouraging everybody to think about multiple streams of income, to be honest. So in that case, I would say then, you know, you need to probably start looking at promotions instead of just negotiating the raise, because you may negotiate that raise and, to be honest, you may only get, you know, like maybe a 2 to 3% merit increase, right? That's not going to get you on that plane. So, you know, and you may decide, like I said, the promotion may not get you on that plane, but that's why you have to do the planning to understand what type of life you desire, to decide kind of which way you want to go. Because you may decide that you may not necessarily need a promotion. You might just need to start a business or own a business and stay exactly where you are because that's what you want to do.
I love the insight. So we've talked about performance, we talked about pay, we talked about promotion. Do you think companies make an effort to keep women in leadership positions?
No. No. I think we struggle. We all struggle with retention, but I mean that's because we're just all struggling with equity in general, right? So, for instance, like when I look at the stats, we have white men that are 35% of the U.S. population. 57% of them are VPs. 68% of them are in C-suite roles, right? Black women are 7.4% of the U.S. population, and we're about 1.6 of the VP roles and 1.4 of C-suite. Think about that for a second. So if you have maybe, if I'm looking at this right, you have 100 VP roles, right? You're going to have maybe one black woman to about 50, 60 white men.
I was going to say half a woman.
Yeah.
Half a black woman.
You're going to have half a black woman, maybe.
She's still in college.
Maybe. You know, and then you go to C-suite, about, you know, you're going to have about 70% or 70, for every 100 C-suite, you're going to have like maybe 70 white men, so one black woman. So how do you retain that? Like, especially if this is someone that, you know, sometimes you need that community. You need that relatability to feel like you belong. And if you're the only one, and we always talk about the only one syndrome, but if you're the only one, it's hard because it's, you know, you don't have anybody to really relate to, especially being a black woman in power, right? Because you're constantly being questioned about your competency and things, and that's not something that your white male peers are dealing with.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like when I was growing my financial career, and even though I didn't attain the career goals that I desired, I did feel isolated. I did feel lonely. And some of the black women that were my bosses, I didn't feel like they embraced me as, I guess, like a peer. Like I didn't find mentorship with them. I felt like one of them for sure was threatened because I got fired, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if she was so much threatened by me, but the dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
that's the best word I could use. Because me and another Black woman got fired. And it was just like, what in the world? We literally built this department. But let's see, more Isom says more CEOs named John than total women CEOs in the Fortune 500.
Crying shame, Isom. Crying shame. But let me go back to what Callie said, because I think it's important. She said that we're not held to the same standard. We're the only ones that have this standard of perfection and excellence, while our white peers are able to be honest, to do half-ass work and still be promoted, right? And at least that's the perception, and that's a lot of people's reality. And I think that's the other thing that goes along with belonging. When you think about a lot of the hoops that Black people have to go through, especially Black women, because they're dealing with the intersectionality, our white peers don't, they can't relate to that. So again, when you go to that level of leadership and that level of position for a Black woman, knowing what she did to get there, a lot of her peers are just not going to be able to really relate to her and really connect with her on that level.
Yeah.
And the anxiety she might feel to stay there, to be honest.
Say that again?
And the anxiety she might feel to perform and stay where she's at, because getting the position is half the battle. Keeping it and excelling in it is the other battle. And then we don't talk about the unspoken battle of feeling like you're also representing your entire race in that position.
Representing your entire race, probably representing your family. I mean, I have friends that they're the first person to go to college, graduate from college. Maybe they even went to grad school, let alone business owners. So they're probably like the most successful in their family just by attending college, right? Whether they go corporate track or entrepreneur route. So there's definitely a lot of pressure with that.
Hi, it's just been good to see you.
So with that pressure, anxiety, what are just some simple tips? We're not mental health professionals, but maybe, what are some tips that we should be mindful and, implement in our day-to-day, not even weekly, but just day-to-day?
Mindfulness. Just make mindfulness just an integral part of your care routine. That's everything from journaling to breathing in place. Yeah. Sometimes I meditate and center myself before I go into a meeting, set my intention. Every morning I try to make it a point to exercise, which can also be a form of mindfulness, right? Just being out in nature and breathing and getting some basically some physical exertion going. But I take time to exercise, I take time to read, I take time to meditate. I take time to maybe connect with people that I love, early in the morning, to just set my day off straight. And then throughout the day, because of course that's where a lot of the stress inducing events can sometimes happen. Again, meditating throughout the day, making sure you're taking your breaks to actually center yourself, to actually hone in on some mantras, like I would think of some powerful mantras to keep with you throughout the day that you can look at, and it reminds you of why you're there, right? And then, I think it's important, and I think this is especially true of Black people in corporate, it's important for you to have a community of color, a community of people of color, a sub-community of people of color that you can actually confide in, and that where you feel like you have a safe space. So when things happen at work that are especially taxing for you as a Black person, especially a Black woman, you have somebody that can hold space for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another professional, hopefully someone on your level that can
Yeah,
understand.
it's been amazing. Like, just like I said, in my various work, various work experiences, being able to have that one Black woman or two or community of Black women to talk to that get it. Like I don't have to explain to a Black woman what it's like to walk into a meeting, and they give you the note taking task, or maybe they walk in, they're like, can you get me some coffee, or can you be the one to, right, exactly. I don't have to explain that to a Black woman to know that, she walks in and sometimes she's mistaken for the secretary, or that people don't ask her opinion. She's the expert on something, and maybe she has a white peer that is maybe superficially involved with the project, and they turn to him for all the answers. I don't have to explain that to a Black woman about that level of dismissal and degradation and all those things. Hey, the Resume Revive, how are you?
Look, I done had plenty, because you need that. Am I tripping, partner?
Right. I got plenty of those. Did you hear what that motherfucker said in the meeting? Who was he talking to? Was it talking to me?
I know I'm not crazy. Am I tripping?
Right. Am I crazy? If I curse him out right now, when I lose my job.
Oh, you got to have that partner. Because you're going to make that phone call.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and those spaces, like I said, serve as those vent sessions, but they also serve as, and this is something that, when we talk about self-care, considering the type of summer we had in 2020, considering the type of year, honestly, the past year or so we've had with social injustice, yeah, everything that we've experienced as a culture, it's so important to have a safe space where you can feel free and feel safe to mourn George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, right? Or all the other hashtags that came after them. Because a lot of times you'll find in predominantly white spaces, you don't feel that natural desire to share, nor is anybody actually always acknowledging your pain when you go through that. Right? In Black spaces, we already know, like, we get up sometimes whenever we've went through, whenever another hashtag comes up, whenever we're in collective mourning, we don't have to explain our feelings. We could just say the name and everybody understands. Right? And we can say, and we know when we say, how are you today? We know that we can be honest, versus when you're in a predominantly white space, maybe you're going into a meeting and a white person says, hey, how are you today? It's a loaded question, because what do you say?
I'm good. I'm all right. And go to my desk.
Right.
No, crack the door. Crack it.
Right. I'm straight. How are you? How is Larry and the kids? Okay, great. I'm going to my office.
Yeah. What else do you think we need to cover regarding pay, promotion, performance, peace of mind?
I'm really curious as to what the audience, the Resume Revive, did you have anything that you want to add? Anybody else in here? I think I honestly would just say, we need to continue to have these conversations, especially when it comes to pay. We need to keep talking. We need to keep educating each other on things like how to negotiate salary. We need to start being more open about what we're getting paid, how we're getting paid, and not necessarily like not telling all your business, but on some level we have to have a communal approach to putting pressure on getting our money.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason that I should be getting paid, way less than Tom, and I'm doing the same work.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah. I think being confident to ask, I had a reality check a couple of months ago where a recruiter from Google reached out to me, and I think I told her I wanted somewhere between 45 to 55 an hour. Oh, and she was like, oh, great, we pay 60 an hour. And I was like, And I think even at that 45, that would have hit me around, I think, 8 to 10,000 a month. But and then of course we're based in California, which is a higher standard of living. But it was just the mindset. It was like, Michelle, get prepared, right? Or ask for, even though I asked for more than my previous experience, it's like I could still ask for more each and every time I talk to someone new.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Equity in pay and positions we are qualified for. Exactly. Yeah. So I think we just owe it to each other to spread the wealth when it comes to a lot of these tactics. A lot of us, we don't get the type of training. I don't remember ever growing up and my parents pulling me aside and saying, "Hey, Natasha, this is how you negotiate your salary. This is how you move up in a company." I've been the first in my family to really sometimes have a lot of these experiences, or at least in my immediate family. But at least even in my extended family, we don't have these conversations. Not unless somebody has the intention of. So we should start that. Even in your own family, you have a nephew, you have a niece. Sit them down and role play with them about how to negotiate their salary, or how to negotiate, a promotion, or how to, toot their own horn at work.
Yeah, my mom, she's been working with the state for all my life, and the state don't pay much.
Exactly.
And she's like, "Michelle, you're always causing trouble. You're leaving a job every 2 to 3 years." I was like, "Look, you ain't gonna disrespect me." I know my mom just be like, "Who did I give birth to?"
Exactly. We about to get this money. Listen, we're not trying to this is no longer Walmart, back in the 80s where, you're like hustling for compliments and shit. We're trying to get us some money.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get no pensions. We don't even have pensions and all this other crap anymore.
And the thing is, we're just trying to survive amongst our peers. It's not even being lavish. It's just, I want equal pay in order for me to buy the same house next door in the neighborhood as my peer that I work with. And go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna say yes, and we're trying to survive. And yes, we are trying to be lavish up in these goddamn streets. Let me tell you something. White men and white women get to floss and flex all day, and they normalize white wealth. So I am going to say we're going to normalize Black people wanting to be rich.
Come on, T-shirt. Come on, normalize Black wealth. I'm about to hit on my graphic designer. Look, we about to go, y'all. We got T-shirts to make.
Exactly.
So I can give me some Black wealth.
Yeah, exactly. We ain't trying to listen. We trying to get all them riches, the gold, the diamonds, all that stuff, because we deserve to have money. We deserve to have more than just an emergency account. We deserve to have assets that we can pass on to our children. But not only that, we deserve to enjoy our lives. If nobody else in this world deserves to enjoy their freaking life, it is Black folk.
Yeah.
So never feel guilty about negotiating your salary because you want to live a lifestyle that is not accessible to you right now.
Hold on, run it back. Never feel guilty.
Never feel guilty about negotiating your salary because you are trying to access a lifestyle that is not accessible to you right now.
I love it.
And that is how we can end this whole live stream.
Look, follow us. Follow Coach Natasha Wade. Follow me, Michelle Gomez. We are coming back for part 2. What's part 2? After Joe Biden's speech?
Listen, can we put it on the Google Calendar first? In 2 weeks, wait, did you say in a week or in 2 weeks? We'll figure it out. Either way, we will promote it to you.
Follow us. I love this conversation. It's so necessary. I'm like, how can we do it sooner? Like, that's me slapping
and
myself.
we're going to be talking about Black women as consumers, and guess what? We're going to switch it up.
Yes, we are a force to be reckoned with, and I'm gonna go do my homework, and we're gonna talk about it.
Hey, all right, guys. We love you. Bye, the Resume Revive. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We will see you guys soon.